Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
If you're tuned in right now, chances are you, or maybe someone close to you, is sort of navigating these, well, often choppy waters of exam results. Specifically, the engineering admissions process. It can be pretty daunting.
It really can.
It's a time that's just packed with anticipation, a lot of pressure, and for so many people, a whole load of anxiety.
Yeah.
So let me just throw this question at you. It's straight from our source material, and honestly, it might make your heart jump a bit.
Yeah.
How much did you score in CET? Did you land an 80,000 rank? Maybe 1.2 lakh? Could it be 1.5 lakh? Or, possibly even higher than that?
Right. Those numbers.
Yeah. If hearing those numbers just send a little jolt of panic through you, please just take a breath. Don't panic. Stick with us for the next few minutes.
Please do.
Our mission here in this deep dive, it's really clear. We want to cut through all the noise, the confusion, and just give you the real picture, the unvarnished truth, so you can make a decision you feel truly confident about, an informed one for your engineering path.
And that mission, that's exactly why we felt this deep dive was so important, especially now. This isn't just statistics on a page for us.
Bro.
It's about real people, real worries. I've been watching this whole drama unfold for, well, over 15 years now in the education field.
Wow, 15 years.
Yeah. I've personally guided, thousands of students, hundreds of CET seasons, seen their journeys, the highs, and honestly, and this is really important, I've also seen the mistakes. Very common, very avoidable mistakes that students and parents too make year after year. So our goal today, it's to give you the knowledge to, break that cycle.
Yeah.
Choose smartly.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit, because the basic numbers, just the sheer size of the KCET exam itself, that really sets the stage, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We're not talking small potatoes here.
Yeah.
This is a huge competitive landscape.
It really is. And the first thing you've got to get your head around are these key stats from recent years, because they show this, well, fascinating and often misunderstood trend. Let's look at 2023 KCET. You had a massive 2.61 lakh students register. Huge number. Out of those, 2.44 lakh actually showed up and wrote the exam, and a pretty solid 2.03 lakh qualified across all the different streams.
Still big numbers.
Big numbers. But here's the kicker, the really crucial bit. The engineering seats available through KEA, that's the Karnataka Examinations Authority, the body handling these government quota spots.
Right.
There were only about 58,000 of those seats. So you do the quick math. It means only around 23.8% of the students who actually appeared for the exam ended up taking an engineering seat through KEA.
Wait, 23.8%? Less than a quarter.
Less than a quarter. Just think about that for a second.
Wow, that's not just a gag. That feels like a canyon between the number taking the test and those actually using the KEA route for engineering. And you're saying this isn't just a one-off thing, it's a pattern.
It absolutely is a pattern. And the numbers just keep backing it up. Take 2024 KCET. That was actually a record year for registrations. 3.49 lakh students signed up.
Even more.
And about 3.27 lakh turned up. Now, the engineering seats did go up a bit to around 66,000. But even with more seats, the percentage of students taking those KEA engineering seats actually dropped further. It was hovering around maybe 20% to 22%.
So it went down, even with more seats.
It went down. And if we look ahead, projections for 2025 KCET, we're thinking around 3.3 lakh students wrote the test. And the available KEA engineering seats are probably somewhere between 60,000 and 64,000. So what you see consistently year after year.
Yeah.
Huge numbers writing the exam, massive interest initially, but only a relatively small slice of them actually take up those, very affordable government quota engineering seats. Understanding this gap, that's the key to seeing your real options.
So this is the million-dollar question then, isn't it? What on earth is going on? Why this absolutely enormous gap? Hundreds of thousands taking the test, but so few, relatively speaking, enrolling in KEA engineering seats. Just doesn't seem to add up on the surface.
It's the single most critical question, you're right. And the answer, well, that's where the hidden opportunities lie. There are actually several big reasons for this low uptake. Firstly, and people often forget this, KCET isn't just for engineering. Loads of students use it for other professional courses. Things like agriculture, veterinary science, pharmacy, or even AYU, the traditional Indian medical systems.
Okay, like Ayurveda, homeopathy.
Exactly. So they qualify via CET, but then they head off down those paths instead of engineering. That accounts for a chunk.
Makes sense.
Secondly, and this is a huge factor, a really significant number of students writing CET are actually aiming for NEET. medical school.
The Plan B scenario.
Precisely. They use CET purely as a backup, a safety net. As soon as the NEET results come out, if they get a medical or dental seat, poof, they're gone. They just skip the engineering admission process entirely.
Right.
Imagine how many thousands that is. Their main dream was medicine, so they just drop out of the engineering pool, leaves a lot of seats unexpectedly vacant.
Okay, so non-engineering courses, NEET hopefuls. What else?
Well, thirdly, quite a few students just choose completely different routes altogether. They might go for Comic A, the entrance test for private engineering colleges.
Right, another pathway.
Or they might just go straight for management quota seats in private universities, sometimes even deciding to study outside Karnataka. They're just not even playing in the KEA system from the start.
Okay.
And then, sadly, there's a fourth reason. It's a bit more insidious. We really need to talk about it. Some students, they get paralyzed by fear of a low rank. And tragically, they end up falling for various scams.
Okay, this is where it gets, well, not just interesting, but kind of infuriating, actually. When you hear about these scams, it really gets your blood boiling. Can you maybe share a specific example, like what happened last year, 2024, just to make it really clear for everyone listening?
Oh, absolutely. It's a truly shocking situation, and it really shows the panic that, unfortunately, a lot of students and parents feel. So, in 2024, right, after all the official KEA counseling rounds were done, all the official chances to get a seat were over. Listen to this. Over 12,000 engineering seats were still completely empty, vacant.
12,000?
12,000. Just think about that. That's enough seats to fill several pretty large engineering colleges. Just sitting there empty, even after the final round.
Hold on. You're telling me thousands of actual government-subsidized seats were just available, unclaimed, but then on the other side?
Exactly. While these thousands of perfectly good seats were sitting empty, probably gathering dust, you had certain, let's say, unscrupulous brokers and even some private colleges actively playing on people's fears.
Right.
They were basically fear-mongering, going to families and saying things like, oh, you better hurry, there won't be any seats left. You have to book your seat right now under the management quota. And for this supposedly guaranteed seat, a seat that ironically might have been easily available through KEA or was part of that pool of 12,000 vacant ones they were charging absolutely ridiculous amounts, we're talking in the ballpark of 10 lakh to 15 lakh just for one seat.
Okay, let me get this straight. People were being pushed, maybe scared, into paying was basically a fortune. I mean, that's a house deposit for some, years of income for others. For a limited edition engineering seat, only to find out later that this limited edition thing was actually widely available, maybe even going begging. It's like paying a scalper triple price for a concert ticket, showing up, and the venue's half empty, and they're letting people in at the door for less. It's not just infuriating, it's almost comically tragic, such exploitation.
It is precisely that, a really stark example of how easily fear and just plain bad information can lead to really devastating financial choices. You have genuine students panicked by the very real pressure they feel about their future, and they get exploited. Meanwhile, like we said, thousands of legitimate, much cheaper seats just stayed empty. It's a shocking lesson in why getting accurate info and just not making knee-jerk reactions is so vital. This is exactly why we need to hammer this home. Be informed.
And that is exactly why this deep dive is so critical for you listening right now. Because if we just strip away all that panic, the hype, the scare tactics, the real truth comes out. And it's this. You absolutely 100% don't need to panic.
That's the core message.
The numbers, the actual hard data, they show that even if your rank feels high, maybe it's 1 lakh, maybe 1.5 lakh, heck, even 2 lakh, you can still get a government quota engineering seat.
That is the empowering truth. We really want every single listener to let that sink in today. The data doesn't lie. A big chunk of KEA seats consistently stay available. And these seats, they offer a massive financial advantage. Huge. If you manage to get a KEA government quota seat, maybe in a government college, your fees per year could be incredibly low. We're talking around $25,000 to $35,000 per year.
$25,000 to $35,000. That's incredible.
It is. Even if you go for a KEA-aided college or a private one under the government quota, it might be more like $65,000 to $80,000 a year. Now, compare that. Just compare it to the management quota, which, like we just said, can cost you a mind-blowing €10 to 15 lakh total for the whole degree.
That's not just a difference.
That's weird.
That's life-changing money. That 10 to 15 lakh difference. Think about it. That could fund your entire master's degree later. It could be seed money for your own business after you graduate. It could be a down payment on a home. or just cover family expenses for years. Why on earth would you, listening now, waste that kind of money when perfectly good, legitimate, and way, way more affordable options are right there through the proper channels, the transparent ones?
Exactly.
It just makes zero financial sense or practical sense. This isn't just about saving a bit of cash. It's about making a really smart investment in your own future.
It's absolutely about smart decision making. Don't let fear push you into paying these crazy sums for something you can get legitimately for a tiny fraction of the cost, your energy. It should be going into understanding the KEA counseling process, looking at all your options properly, and making a calculated choice, not a desperate one.
Okay, so that brings us to another big area where students and parents too often get really confused and pretty anxious. We hear all these engineering branch names thrown around, right? Computer science, information science, AI and machine learning, data science. It sounds bewildering. Are they all really that different? Does the specific label on your degree actually matter as much as people think, especially in tech today?
That's a fantastic question. And yes, it causes a lot of stress, but the reality, it's much simpler than it looks. These branches you mentioned, computer science, information science, AI and ML, data science, look, they are essentially 95% the same, especially in the first couple of years.
95%?
Yeah.
Really?
Really. Think about your first year. All students in these related fields, they take the identical core subjects. Maths, physics, chemistry, basic electrical, fundamental coding. It's all the same foundation. The core programming languages, the concepts you learn, they're universal across these streams. The specialization, it only really starts to kick in much later, maybe with just 2 or 3 specific elective subjects differentiating them, usually way down the line in your 3rd or 4th year. So don't get hung up thinking one branch is like fundamentally miles apart from another when the core is so similar.
That's actually kind of revolutionary for a lot of listeners, I bet.
Yeah.
People who might be convinced that the exact branch name or maybe even the college name is the absolute be-all and end-all for their career. But I can almost hear some parents thinking, okay, but doesn't the college name still count for something? For networking, for that first job, prestige.
Yeah.
How do you square that with what you're saying about effort being key?
It's a very fair point. And look, it's true. A well-known college name can maybe open a few initial doors, a bit of perceived advantage right at the start, perhaps. But, and I really cannot stress this enough, college name is secondary, your effort is primary.
Okay, effort is primary.
Absolutely. I have personally seen countless students, from colleges that might be considered, average, maybe even lesser known ones, and they have gone on to do absolutely amazing things in their careers. Landed fantastic jobs at top companies, built cool stuff, launched successful startups, and conversely, I've also seen students from the most prestigious, top-ranked institutions kind of flounder because they maybe relied too much on just the name carrying them.
Right, they didn't put in the work themselves.
Exactly. The really critical insight here, the thing that should genuinely empower you and motivate you, is this simple fact. Engineering fundamentally is 90% self-study.
90%?
90%. What does that actually mean? 90% self-study. It means you're the one actively hitting online courses, Coursera, ADX, whatever. You're building your own projects on the side. Maybe you're contributing to open source code, diving into competitive programming websites, going to workshops, reading research papers, actively networking with people already working in the field.
Wow.
Your success, it's going to be defined by your own dedication, your curiosity, how willing you are to learn way beyond just what's in the official syllabus. It's about what you actively do and create, not just the building you sat in for 4 years. The college gives you the structure, sure, but you have to build the actual building.
That's an incredibly powerful way to put it. It totally shifts the focus, doesn't it? Away from all those external pressures, the rankings, the perceived prestige.
Yeah.
And puts it right back onto your own drive, your own actions. It feels really liberating, actually, to think your future much more in your own hands than maybe you thought.
It truly is.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's just bring it all together. The core message for you listening right now: stay calm, choose wisely, and please do not fall for scams.
Precisely. Let the actual facts guide you, not the fear. Even if you're ranked